What's up, and welcome to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar, episode 30.
Ah! How?
Oh, so
Consistency,
awesome.
that's how.
Indeed. That's I would be like, that'd be a tangent thing, consistency, but we'll just leave it at that. But yes, welcome. We got all kinds of fun, zany, and very Monday energy on this show. But, we like to have fun. We're going to be talking about Spy Family, One Piece, Overwatch, and more. So stick around for that. But first, we'll introduce ourselves because we also have a special guest. We'll do our special guest right here because some of you should know us by now. But hello, special guest. We got this way, Mark. Yay!
I'm here. I'm here in the middle. What's up? I'm
Yeah,
gonna do the intro that I've been doing for the past year. What's up, wenches, privateers, non-binary buccaneers? What's up, everybody? Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
amazing.
Thank you for being here. I love it.
Amazing.
We wanted to get everybody on the grand line. Everybody,
As you do. As you do.
Way back when Alexis, I think, had guys, gals, and non-binary pals.
Yes,
something like that.
Yes, she did.
And I'm
yeah,
like
and
that
I
one.
believe
Cool.
Skate the Infinity had bitches, bros, and non-binary hoes.
it was.
Yes,
it's so perfect, and it was like, yeah, that's it. Everybody needs to have that. Everybody needs to have that welcoming.
Right.
We need to evolve as a society.
Trying to figure out one for Labyrinth, and so far it's lords, ladies, and lieges. Doing my best.
Yeah,
that works.
No, that's good.
Yes.
Well, then for the other people on this panel, the other humans, if you are new here, hello, I am Carrie Lane, and I'm joined by my co-host on that side,
Katie Cullen. Evidently today I am a gay robot. Happy Pride, everyone.
Yay! And welcome all new folks here to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar. So Mark, being our special guest today, why don't you introduce yourself and how you're involved with the geek nerdy anime community, and then after that, what are your top 3 to 5 anime? In no particular order, unless you do have a particular order.
Of all time. Well, I've been I've been in the nerdy space for quite some time. It's been a hell of a ride to go from like the social outcast to, hey, everything's popular now, which is, it's wonderful just to welcome people into the worlds that we've been living in for so long. Wrestling nerd, video game nerd. Anime, I would say that I'm more of a filthy casual, but there are some random ones that I like, but like most of the big popular ones I've at least like dipped my toes into. And it's always a thing of like, I hyperfixate and I watch as many short series as I can, and then I like watch one series a year. It's really weird. Really the one that I kind of always go back to, and it's kind of something that me and my friends have built a brand on, is 4Kids era One Piece. And One Piece is an all ages show, but it has, stabbing, gunfights, booze, like, smoking, for goodness sakes.
Piracy.
Piracy. So imagine when 4Kids is like, yeah, we'll buy this kids pirate show, and then they get it and they're like, oh my god. So it's censored to hell. I highly recommend everybody go back and watch. Like, if you have no connection to One Piece whatsoever, even before this Netflix one, watch the 4Kids era. It's so wild. There's a rap that starts it. It's so chaotic, but it's something that without, I probably wouldn't be as into anime as I am today. And so these days, along with Kaden Jensen, Molly Flood, and Al McClellan Jr., we host Yayo Talk Show, which is a One Piece sort of a catch-up series because our friend Kaden, bless her soul, she randomly decided, hey, I think I'm going to start One Piece. And which at this point is at over 1,000 chapters and 1,000 episodes. So with that, we just got together and she started talking about it. We were playing Uno, and she started spitting off all of these theories of like, oh, I think this is going to happen. And this is like 50 episodes in. And she's saying stuff that's happening in like chapters 400 and 500. It's like, oh, I think this will happen in this, and then I think this, and then I think that. We were just like, you need to stop and we need to record this because this is the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life. So that's where that show started, and we've been going for a year now, and she's come pretty far, and it's finally getting to a point where she can have these theories, and we can be like, oh yeah, no, that hasn't been paid off yet, so we can actually talk about it, as opposed to like, oh, I don't know. So this Netflix One Piece news is something that we've been looking at with great intensity, for lack of a better
real quick,
term.
before you get into that, first of all, we do want to say, sorry I didn't say it at the beginning, but we do have a live chat going. So if you're in the live chat, welcome. Awesome. We got Nick Brennan. We also got Giga Derek too.
Hello, hello.
And then
What's up, y'all?
rewinding back to Katie's commented names, Nick said Lords, Ladies, and Licentious Legion.
I think I'm going to get in trouble if I refer to the various nobles at Labyrinth as licentious. Just saying. That's ooh, you don't. There is enough Fae there, and y'all, if y'all know anything about Fae, you don't fuck with the Fae. So we're workshopping that.
So then the other thing, then rewinding back to it. Thank you, Mark. So the things we're excited about is there's going to be a certain thing with One Piece and Netflix. Mark, tell us what's going on.
Oh my goodness. So there's been a lot of rumors for quite some time. Like there was supposedly the first season's concepts were going to be were leaked, so people went okay. And as the castings have been going out, we've sort of gotten a whole scope of how much ground they're covering. And the first major, so One Piece has been going on so long, there are arcs and there are sagas. And so there are arcs that make up sagas. And so this first saga, which is about 50 episodes in the anime, so going off of what they've shot and everybody that's been cast so far, it looks like they're taking that first saga and adapting that into maybe like the hour-long television format, and it's going to go at a lightning pace, because rarely does the writer Eiichiro Oda introduce a character or a concept that doesn't get brought back or doesn't get paid off, or so there. It's very dense. It's very dense, and so I guess what the fans of the show are interested in with Netflix is, how compact is it going to be? You've named all of the characters so far, and it looks like all of the characters of note and import are going to make appearances, but you're taking an arc that's usually like 20 episodes, and you're going to maybe meld it down to an hour or 2 hour long episodes. And it's ambitious. And it's, with all of Netflix's anime adaptations in the past, you know, there's some reticence, but with the care that the creator has taken in the production and the casting and all of that, it still feels like there's hope. And the stuff that they released on Geeked today of the building of the ships and the actual scale that they're going to be using when they're shooting down in South Africa is, it's good, and it's wild to see a big duck masthead for one of the first big
old fish.
Yeah. Oh, dude. That's a restaurant, and there's the way that they're modernizing and sort of making it work in live action so far makes me excited. Not even necessarily like, okay, all right. Well, I'm still, there's still a critical eye, but if the creator has their hand in it and is like, oh yeah, that's good, then that's good enough for me. That's good, at least to give it a shot, if not to be stuck to my television or my whatever streaming device I have so that I can watch the show whenever it comes out. Oh, we didn't even get a trailer. Ugh.
We did. The behind the scenes video, though, showed some beautiful things. The casting video looks like a blast. Oh. I kind of want to run into hypotheticals here going beyond this first season, because beyond this first season does not include Robin, Frankie,
Chopper,
Brooke, and Chopper. Yeah. So I want to know what your dream casting is for those four.
Well, Chopper, it can really be anybody, because
you need a good voice actor.
Quote unquote anybody. Yeah, and also because we haven't seen any of the so for those who aren't familiar with One Piece, there's a lot of fantastical elements when it comes to animals, and there's an entire race of merfolk that are comprised of a bunch of different types of sea creatures. So we haven't seen how those are going to look yet, and I feel
Fair.
like that is going to be sort of indicative of how they'll do Chopper, and I'm a little afraid of that. I'm a little afraid of how they're going to do a Cyborg. I'm a little afraid, and with the way that they've been casting, you know, we did a dream casting on Yayo Talk Show. Go listen, anchor.fm/Yayo Talk Show. But when it comes to the Straw Hats, it was a lot of people that we weren't necessarily familiar with, but in looking into them, that's some really solid casting. And so Frankie, going along with all of that, Frankie has to I don't know why I started with Frankie, but
because he's Frankie. Let's be
Frankie.
real.
Ow. Frankie is a cyborg, a middle-aged cyborg. And so I think a really strong American comedic actor. Anytime, like we kind of stuck in the Netflix realm when we were casting, and so now I can't get David Harbour out of my head, but I think he would knock it out of the park regardless because he's a great actor, but I really don't know, and I'm absolutely okay with anybody that they pick because so far it's all been dynamite, and truly, and Iñaki Godoy has just screamed Luffy energy the entire time. I don't know, like so far it's all just been really dynamite, and even though we're not seeing people in costume, it still fits with Oda's sort of thinking of who these characters are. And if it were the real world, they would be from this character would be from this country, this character would be from that country, this character would be from that country, so on and so forth. So the only dream casting that I would say is, because I know she wants it too, is Jamie Lee Curtis. There are a couple of roles. She's a big One Piece fan.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of roles that she would be absolutely dynamite in, and those wouldn't come until like a theoretical second season. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know.
I just kind of want to know what singer we're going to peg for Brooke. Because like Brooke has such batshit insane energy, and everyone they've cast so far has had the look, but they've also had the energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important.
Yeah.
So how do you peg Brooke?
I would even say Brooke, it wouldn't even be till season 3.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. We're gonna have season 3, the horror season, Thriller Bark.
God. Or so
can't wait.
I don't know how I would break apart the seasons, but I know that like the major, probably the major anytime they would come up against the government, that would probably be a good place to end a season.
Finale
is for season finales, and the place that it seems like they would be ending it here would be pretty good. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I know I'm also probably talking about, I'm trying to say everything without saying anything, and that might not be as constructive.
Yeah. We're getting a little inside baseball, but I'm also pitching you inside baseball questions. So like
Nick Brennan,
Dan Avidan for Brooke.
Dan Avidan for
God.
Brooke. That's not bad, because that's tall. He's tall, lanky. He's got the afro.
He's got the hair. He's got the energy too.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've watched Game Grumps recently, but like, damn, the Danganronpa playthrough. Yeah, I seriously doubt that it would happen. Dan definitely has his own stuff going on and just started a new band, but like, that would be incredible. Daniel Avidan as Brooke. Sign me up. Dreamcast right there.
You could also do like a motion capture character, because Brooke is a skeleton, guys. Brooke is a
skeleton.
Yeah. So Carrie's getting a crash course, and all of this, like, what
I
is
was like,
Carrie's like, what the hell?
I've seen maybe 1 or 2 One Piece movies, and that's it.
I stopped after Thriller Bark, which was Brooke's introduction, and everything else from then on in has been a few movies and Osmosis, and it's been a wild ride through Osmosis alone. So
But I did I forget which one of the movies. I think it was no, I don't remember what name it is. Doesn't really matter. But I liked when I watched it, I didn't have to really know anything that was going on, that you could jump in. So I'm curious for people watching this. It's like, of course, you have the hardcore fans who know the title, who know the subject material, who are going to be far more critical. Good thing or a bad thing. And then the newbie people who have no idea, because you need to cater to them a tiny bit, because you want to bring new people in of like, check out this cool thing. So I'm really curious how that's going to come about. And then Mark, I was curious your thoughts of like, so far the history of anime to live action is a bit rocky for American productions.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue the Japanese productions have done a much better job. But what are your thoughts on the idea of making something live action, especially One Piece, which has, I mean, all anime is pretty over the top, but One Piece has a lot that's very like, real people. All right, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point, and I think Netflix as a whole, I think the problem hasn't necessarily been on the creative side or on the production side, because these productions look great. You know, I think one of the major problems that they run into is in translating it to live action, you lose the brightness of color that a lot of, like, especially with all of the footage that's been coming, or the set photos that has been coming out from One Piece. It's been, you know, real brown, stone, like wood, and like some splashes of color, when it's like, most of the show is on the water. Well, not most of it, but a lot of the show is on the water, portside town. So there's supposed to be, there's a lot of bright blues both below and above. So it creates this certain color palette. And honestly, for fans, I think that's going to be the main thing that gets in the way is, oh, this isn't quite looking the way that I was expecting it to. But for general audiences, this is, I mean, pirates are back in a big way. Like,
oh yeah,
just societally, pirates have just kind of always been around. But this scratches the itch for swashbuckling, coming of age stories, and superhero fights.
And found family.
And found family. Very good point. Very good point. So with this, there's a lot of really bombastic stuff that happens as the show goes on. And this first season isn't, like, honestly, isn't that wacky? Like, it's wacky from a comedic standpoint, but in terms of like, oh, silly anime things, it's not that weird. The weirdest thing is that Luffy stretches because he's a rubber man, and he'll tell you. But once you get past that, and I think Iñaki Godoy can do it, once you inhabit that space and you go, this is the world, here's an angry cowboy dressed woman with a giant metal cudgel whose ship is shaped like a duck and is covered in hearts. Once you get, like, that's first shot, like, it's going to be like, the first 5 minutes of the show is going to be wild. It's going to be exactly like the manga and the anime, or exactly like the anime, but it's going to be something where people go, what is this? I need to know what's happening, in the best possible way. I really do think that it scratches so many itches that people that are fans of different types of, like, popular media will be like, okay, all right. And at the very least, it'll be, ooh, new pirate show.
Yeah.
No, all valid points, for sure. I was going to say, I feel we can keep talking about One Piece forever. But any other thoughts about...
We got the guy for it.
We have other stuff to cover on the show as well. But anything else you'd like to add, your final thoughts on One Piece, and any other shows that you're currently watching you want to recommend, as well as you were saying your own show?
So in terms of stuff that I'm watching right now, I'm trying to catch up on a lot of things, and just staying in the world of One Piece is already a difficult thing enough, let alone trying to, like, play all the games and, like, inhabit that space. But in terms of something that I will always recommend is watch One Piece. You can go watch it. Like, the animated series is on Netflix right now, like a good 100 episodes. So if you haven't watched any of the show, it's on Netflix. Like, they're going to keep adding more. There's a bunch of great movies on there too. A movie that I would suggest for both of you is called Baron Omatsuri and the Secret Island. I don't know how available it is in the States, but it is a Mamoru Hosoda.
Nice. Yeah.
It's you definitely do not need to be a One Piece fan to watch it. It helps, but ultimately it's just an amazingly animated movie. Terrifying, wonderful. Highly recommend that. Watch Tron Uprising because it's a very good show. And
Disney Plus, yeah?
Disney Plus. It is all on Disney Plus. It is it's so good. Great cast, great soundtrack, great everything. And you can follow me at Mark Donica, and you can follow Yayo Talk Show at Yayo Talk Show on Twitter, Twitch, and we have our show. We put it out every 2 weeks to give Caden time to watch and read the show because it is a very, very huge show. And we've started like going into quiz shows and like we have a lot of stuff planned for this year. We just released merch, blah, 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 blah. But if you're a One Piece fan and you're looking for a place to talk about One Piece, head over to twitter.com/Yayo Talk Show. I could talk about this for hours, and we do. So come by and take a listen. And thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me on to talk about this. And if you ever need another One Piece gremlin, please don't hesitate to call.
Oh yeah, no, thank you for joining us and sharing about that for sure. No, and then yes, everybody go find Mark online there. Yay! Cool.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again. See ya.
Thanks, my dude.
Oh, I did.
Bye.
I didn't mean to do that so abrupt. Apologies. Yes. He's gonna be like, wait a minute. How did you? What?
It's the sort of thing he'd probably find funny. Let's be real.
This is true. We'll be like, and bye.
And
yes. We got Lewis in the chat says, yo, hey, nice to see all of you. And Nick was adding, remember to let Caden watch and read the series.
In One Piece.
In One Piece. Ha 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 ha.
Hey!
We like puns on this show. Thank you for
Homophones.
everybody who's still sticking around because we have other exciting things to talk about, as well as Spy Family, if you're currently watching that show. Real quick, one bit of news / things we're excited about anime-wise. So Toho International is excited to announce the season 2 release of the 70s animated series of Godzilla. And it's on Toho's official Godzilla YouTube channel, which I love that there's a whole YouTube channel for Godzilla. So yeah, go check out. It's pretty much youtube.com Godzilla /Godzilla Toho. So TOHO. And there will also be never before released on home video and rarely seen in 40 years. The second season is exclusive to the YouTube channel and bring back viewers back to Saturday morning adventures with Godzilla. So I was like, ooh, how fun. So June 6th, first part of the series will premiere on their official channel. And check that out. So if you're a Godzilla fan or, watching some more cartoons, we always like it. Yes.
If you're a Godzilla fan, there's an absolutely buckwild Godzilla Netflix animated series, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it's called. It dropped like a year or two ago, and it's incredible. It's such a weird Godzilla series, but it's so good. It has an incredibly slow burn, and then it's just like, oh, here's Godzilla. And you're like, wait, what? What? It's very good. It's extremely deep, like anime science, but it explains itself well enough and consistently enough that it's like, no, I'm following along with all of this madness. I'm here for these weird stakes and these giant kaiju. Let's go. So watch your classic Godzilla on the official YouTube channel, including the never before seen or very rarely seen season 2, and then watch your brand new buckwild Godzilla on Netflix. All the Godzilla.
Yay! So then we did have Rob Adler ask, is this Hanna-Barbera Godzilla? The one I mentioned, no, it's just the classic from Toho Animation. So again, that's on their YouTube channel, which, where to go? Yes, Godzilla has its own YouTube channel, which is pretty awesome.
And the fact that it's an official YouTube channel, that's fun.
Right? It's legit.
Always fun when they do stuff like that.
And then there's another show that some of us are very excited about, which, Katie, what's another show that's coming around for people to check out? Or new season?
So we already had the announcement that we were getting a season 3 of Mob Psycho 100. The official Twitter dropped that announcement a few weeks ago. We are getting that in, I believe, October of this year. I'm very excited. And now, as of today, Crunchyroll has confirmed that it will be on Crunchyroll. That it will be, I'm looking at the press release right now. I believe it's going to be simulcast, which is going to be an absolute blast. Crunchyroll will simulcast the new season from Japan, subtitled and dubbed in more than 200 countries and territories around the world. I am so excited for this, you guys. If you've never seen Mob Psycho 100, you need to. First of all, if you like One Punch Man, same person that did One Punch Man does Mob Psycho 100. It is a coming of age story, and it's also kind of a battle manga, but it's really more a comedy than anything else. And it is about this teenager with psychic powers named Mob, and he's really kind of emotionally stunted. He's not really good at reaching out to people. He's not really good at communicating, and he has a crush, and he's trying to communicate with her, and he's just so bad at it. But he also has psychic powers. So when his emotions get overloaded, his psychic powers go a little nuts. And a con artist named Reagan has hired him to help deal with the actual spirits and ghosts that exist in this world. And there are other people with psychic powers, and there are cults, and it is so hard to describe everything this anime encompasses. But I went from, well, Mother's Basement likes it, and I'm intrigued, and I have a very long flight in my future. So, this was back when I had Verve, and Verve was paid. So it was like, all right, I'll download some episodes officially on Verve, watch them on the flight. Got off the flight 4 episodes into the first season of Mob Psycho 100, and I'm like, I gotta watch the rest. It is an incredible balance of wacky off-the-wall humor and amazing art. When the Sakuga kicks in on this show. And family and emotion. This is a show that has made me laugh my ass off, and then 10 minutes later I was crying. Like, this show is great. I know the art style can be a little off-putting to people. Like, I understand if it's not your aesthetic, but I highly recommend give it the first 5 episodes of the first season. It tells you what it's about immediately. I watched the dub. The dub is fantastic. I am absolutely certain that the sub is also fantastic. Just this show, y'all. This show. Highly recommended. Do the thing. Get caught up and watch season 3 with me. There is a reason that I put it on the poll for things we should watch between airing seasons. Ranking of Kings won, but I was voting for Mob Psycho 100. It is very good. And season 3 is dropping in, again, I think the original announcement was October. I don't think the date for season 3's release is in. Yeah, I do not see a specific date for season 3's release. I think it's October. I might have made that up. But later this year sometime, we will be getting Mob Psycho 100 season 3. So catch up on the first 2 seasons. Let me know what you thought of it. And then we'll all watch season 3 together, and it will be nuts.
I was going to say the other thing that's nuts, which I would say transition to Overwatch news.
Oh my God.
Hey, so we got Overwatch news. I feel that's the last of our newsy stuff. And then we'll be talking Spy Family. So, and then after that, we also have things that we've been watching besides all that we've talked about that we'll recommend to you. So, yes. Is it still appropriate?
Throw me my lower third. Overwatch League is an anime, and we just finished a tournament arc. Okay, so this entire past weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, morning and night, because we had the APAC regions playing as well, was the Kickoff Clash tournament in its entirety. During the daytime, daytime for the Americas, you had the Americas teams playing, and then at nighttime, you had the APAC teams playing. And guys, we had good going, Gladiators. Spoilers, but yeah, winner. We had some absolutely wild storylines playing through. Talking about APAC, the Hangzhou Spark secured the top seed, looked really good, and then got completely wrecked 2 matches in a row and got dropped out. The Seoul Dynasty, of all teams, took out the Shanghai Dragons, which was not expected because Shanghai's are, again, last year's champions and doing extremely well for themselves. Took out the Shanghai Dragons, went to the finals with Philly Fusion, and took out the Fusion. Seoul has never won a title. They've never won a stage. They've never won an interim tournament. They have a whole lot of always the bridesmaid, never the bride going on. And they finally won their first title. And let's be real, their entire lineup is amazing. But you really got to hand it to Prophet. Prophet is one of their DPS players, is a league veteran, has been around forever, incredibly skilled. And watching those matches, you go, oh yeah, no, he's the reason they won this map. He's the reason they won this map. He turned this map from a loss into a win. Like, we call it the Fleta deadlift. I think we need to start calling it the Prophet deadlift now, because damn, son. So Seoul Dynasty has finally won themselves a trophy. It's incredible for that. Like, congratulations. It's a great weekend to be a Seoul fan. And then if you are watching the US teams, the Western teams, they played live on LAN in Dallas, Texas. So we had 2 home teams playing because both the Dallas Fuel and the Houston Outlaws made it into the tournament. I think I remember last week saying that San Francisco Shock was probably going to win and that they're kind of an easy bet. I don't know what happened, man. They fell apart. It was rough. They had to pull off a reverse sweep to stay in the winner's bracket. And then they got knocked out of the winner's bracket by the Washington Justice. And then they got knocked out of the loser's bracket by, I think it was the Dallas Fuel. So I don't have the entire bracket in front of me because as much as I love the Overwatch League app, it did not get along with these brackets very well. I think they knocked out the Outlaws.
You seem to remember a lot of it though, so
I watched most of it. I watched so much of this, and let's be real, I'm very invested in most of these teams. And a lot of the teams that I'm not as invested in did not make it past the first round or the second round of the losers bracket. So yeah, it was a whole lot of watching this go down, going nuts. Houston pulling through over, I cannot remember who they faced first match in the losers bracket, but Pelican on the Houston Outlaws making an absolutely heroic play on Hanzo and holding the point himself for a solid 30 seconds, which is not easy. It's hard to hold a point yourself for 5 seconds against an opposing team. The fact that he managed to do this and just keep tearing through the enemy team long enough for his teammates to come back, turn the map around, and pull a win to keep them in the losers bracket, to keep them from being knocked out. Excuse me. Pelican had some miracle plays. It wasn't enough to get them all the way through the tournament, but it was still absolutely fantastic. So the tournament was kind of a rough watch at times if you're a Houston fan, but still some amazing, amazing stuff. This is to the level of Shu holding down Havana last year for the Gladiators. It's that kind of play where we have this and we're not going to see anything like it for the rest of the season, most likely. It's that sort of thing where when they do top 5 plays of the season, it's going to be in there. It might be number 1 depending on what else happens this season. Early on, we got these crazy heroics from this one player, and we know that we're going to have a patch on the version of Overwatch 2 that they're playing on, and we know there's going to be brand new meta and brand new stuff when we go into the, I think they're calling it Mid-Season Madness. But just that match is absolutely worth watching. We had Dallas working so hard in front of their home crowd to pull it out, to make it through to the end. They got knocked down to the losers bracket, and then they made a run through the losers bracket, only to run into the Gladiators again at the end. And Gladiators winning every single match in the winner's bracket. Just the depth of roster that they have, the ridiculous amount of talent that they have, and more than anything else, their versatility. A lot of these teams, they're really good at this, and then they're kind of okay at this, so they're going to swap between the two. Gladiators is like, we're just going to do everything. We have a Rhine player, we have a Sigma player, we have a Diva, we have a Zarya, whatever. Let's do it. Let's go. Reiner is incredible. Reiner is their main tank. And again, we talked a little bit about him. He named himself after Reiner in Attack on Titan, and because he's a Reinhardt main. So he's very versatile, very aggressive. And then when you need a good off tank, you pull in Space, who is one of my favorite players in the league. Full stop. So just watching this Gladiators roster They have had so much promise for so long, but this specific permutation of the roster, watching them go is incredible. And we talked a little bit last week about storylines and individual players, and the player that we brought up then was Dia on the LA Valiant and his long string of not being able to win and finally pulling a map win. The player that we're going to talk about here is Patapan. He is, I'm going to get this wrong. I think he's from Thailand. I'm absolutely going to get this wrong. I looked at it earlier today. It's been 3 hours and I cash dumped it. But he retired from Overwatch to go to Valorant and then came back from Valorant last year, was in Contenders, and then was pulled up to the Gladiators. And there were, I don't know the story well enough to speak on it, but it's very much one of those, oh, you were in Valorant for a while. How are you really? He's an incredible player. He did some incredible DPS maneuvers. Like he's scary. He is a scary player, and he's 18. This is the first year he was eligible to play in the league. So some of these younger players that are being pulled up from Contenders and pulled up to the big time for the first time are people to watch out for. And Patapan is definitely at the top of that list. We are rookie of the year easy, I want to say, for him. We'll see what everyone else pulls out, but keep an eye on this guy. And when they won and they handed him the trophy and Danny asked him what this moment meant to him, he tried to speak and he started crying because this moment means so much to him, because he was so worried about, oh, people wouldn't like me. People think I'm bad. And he made a comment about, oh, people don't think I'm good. And Danny said, everyone in the Overwatch League loves you. And this entire live crowd, who is full of Dallas Fuel fans, after Dallas Fuel just got 4-0 swept in this match, whole crowd cheering for Patapan, because
Aww.
You can't help but cheer for this 18-year-old who helped bring his team to victory. It's not his first big win. He pulled through a lot in Contenders and in the World Cup, but in the league, in the professional, and just, I was crying. It was just like, oh my God.
It's when you're watching anybody and they get like emotional about a win or a loss, regardless of how old they are, you're like, oh, and especially the younger they are, you're just like,
oh
so
yeah, he is a rookie. He's not new to the stage. He's not new to Overwatch, but in league terms, he's a rookie. And keep in mind, again, he's 18. He was making waves in this game when he was like 15. Mm-hmm. So very talented, very hardworking. Keep an eye on this Gladiators roster. It was a good stage to be a Gladiators fan. I think it's going to be a good year to be a Gladiators fan. And it's nice when that rolls around. It's nice when your team can be at the top or close to it. It's not a bad time to be a Dallas fan either. And despite some issues, it's still a pretty good year to be a San Francisco Shock fan. They got top seed for a reason. And playing in front of a live audience is always going to be different than playing from the comfort of the team house, where it's your own chair, your own keyboard, you know what you're doing, as opposed to coming out and here is a whole audience full of people to watch you play live and they're yelling for your competitors. Like, not an easy thing to do. And a lot of the people who are in the league this year and were in the league last year have never played in front of a live audience. We had very few live matches last year, and most of them were overseas. So most of them were in the APAC region. So a lot of our Western players, even if they're no longer rookies, even if they've been in the league for a year, this was their first experience playing for a live audience. And it's wild, you guys. I frequented the Blizzard Arena when that was a thing, and the energy there is absolutely insane. Like, if you are a pro sports person and you meet sports person, college sports, pro sports, whatever, and you go to a game and you're rooting for the home team, you're with the people who are super into it, that energy it's impossible to recreate anywhere else. There's just something to it. And being 18, getting up in front of that, where everyone's rooting for your opponent, helping your team win, and then being handed the trophy and asked what this means to you. Absolutely incredible. Like, even if you don't watch Overwatch League, just pull that up. Just pull up that match. It's all on YouTube. You don't have to watch the whole VOD. They divvy it up by the matches. Just pull up that last match between Dallas and the Gladiators, watch it go, and watch that interview at the end. So good. So yeah,
Nice.
Overwatch League is an anime. We finished a tournament arc. You will be spared me talking about Overwatch League probably next week because we're all taking a week off. No games this weekend, no nothing. They are taking some time to recalibrate, learn all of the new changes that are happening on the patch that they're on. And then yeah, I believe we swing back in next weekend. It's gonna be fun. But for now, use the time to catch up. And I'm still up for assigning people teams if anyone wants a team to root for. I am here for you. I'm here for my own amusement, but also you.
Well, I was going to say the other things we're rooting for. We're rooting for our found family.
Yes.
This was it just keeps getting more and more like, ah.
I referred to this episode as accidentally catching feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Right. I had seen some pictures in advance of Yor when she's on top of Lloyd and like grabbing the jacket. I'm like, ooh, this show's getting a little more spicy. Okay.
Just like, oh, hello there. Oh, hey. We're having a good time.
And it's just so precious that like, I mean, obviously she doesn't know the stakes that are going on, but I love that Lloyd's like, you know what? I just got to kiss this random person. That's okay. I will do it. And let's just go. You know, he hesitates a little bit, but how precious it is that she's just a bit like, whoo, this is maybe too much. And it did go the direction I kind of thought that her brother would be a bit like, whoa. Because I was like, dude, they should have pulled that one of like, we don't want to do PDA in front of family. That feels awkward. Like, sure, they could have bought that.
I'm not surprised that her brother has something of a sister complex.
Oh, we
Hello,
talked
Ryan.
about
How
this.
you doing? It was definitely like,
it was confirmed this episode. I thought so before, and I was like, does he like her? And then it's this episode, I'm like, yeah. I mean,
it's one of those things where it's been just the two of them against the world for so long, and he looks up to her so much, and it's just like it's one of those things where I get it. And a lot of this is kind of a kid thing that happens. They're like, oh, I want to marry mommy. Oh, I want to marry daddy. Oh, I want to marry, older figure who is helping raise them. Like this is a thing, but most kids kind of grow out of that.
Yeah, he has not.
Didn't happen here. Didn't happen here. So it's
still innocent though, because he's not necessarily like.
This isn't. We're not going.
He's not
there.
talking about boinking her right away or something, you know.
But it's still like his locker is full of pictures of her.
And yes, that's where I was like, oh no. And then quick comment from the chat. Ryan likes the blue lipstick. Oh, Katie, the blue lipstick's amazing. It is. It just pops.
It is NYX. It's from their Macaron Lippy line.
Nice.
I have all sorts of crazy. I love NYX. I have all sorts of crazy bright colors from them. All of their stores closed during the pandemic, so there's no longer any straight up NYX stores. You have to go through like CVS or their website or whatever. Yeah. Which I'm a little sad because I liked going in and just chatting with people. But NYX, great color.
Okay, this was a little bit. Giga Derek goes, "Why are you like this, Japan?" And this happens so much in anime. I mean, I love Japan, and it's a moment where you just go, because Japan.
It's stealing a phrase from Mother's. It's stealing a phrase from Mother's Basement. Anime is gonna anime.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just kind of sit there and go, "Yep, this is one of those things," and sometimes it just does that, and you just gotta deal with the fact that sometimes it just does that. Yes. Anime's gotta anime. That's the best I got.
So the tension we do like, though, Ryan says, the tension between Lloyd and Yor is there, and I live for it. Agree. I want that to continue, and yeah. Weirdos. But it was cute
of them
as
weirdos.
It was cute as the family, and then how Lloyd was like. I'm kind of envious of that, and I was like, oh, little backstory. Look, we got crumbs.
Yeah,
well, something.
I mean, we got the flashback of him basically growing up alone. So it's like, Again,
But-
he was not well socialized, but
And I just want to know how Yuri can walk around and not die of blood loss. That was so much blood. Like the head, pew pew, coming out. And I'm like, oh gosh.
head
Like,
it's because he's in a comedy. That's why.
yes,
It is 100% because he is in a comedy.
yes, yes. Because otherwise, I'm like, what? And I do like his boss calling him out on his obsession of like, well, did you get some evidence? It's like,
No.
nope.
It's like, what if her husband is a spy and I can blame it on that? Like, you have no idea how right you are, and that's why the dramatic irony is amazing, but also like, my dude, you gotta chill. You gotta chill.
Yep.
Just hysterical.
Actually, the other hysterical tension moment too I loved is when they were tired, Yor and Lloyd are like, okay, time to go to bed. And they're like, ooh, whoops, sorry, stupid.
I'll change it back. It's fine. Separate beds, per usual.
I mean, you could have done like the pillows down the middle or something if you were too tired to move them, but that was cute. And our cute little Anya, I loved her moment of things shaking isn't the end of the world.
Yeah. And just Yor hitting her brother into the giant impromptu rose bush he's brought twice. Yep. Just the rose petals explode every time. Amazing.
Yep. And then Ryan also adds, Mom and Papa are flirting. Yep. Back to that one. Yep. Is all I need from the show. Yes, I did like that she points out like y'all aren't communicating right. And it's like, you're very observant. I'm glad you said that out loud.
Yeah.
And because they are such different pages right now. And it's like, hey guys, just say a little bit more what you're thinking. And I think most of your problems would be fixed. But then we wouldn't have a show.
Does she know her brother's in the secret police? And she's just like, I'm not a good enough wife. Like, oh, honey, you've been a wife for like a month. Please.
Yeah. And that's just so sad of like, there's not like a better, worse and category for your being a spouse and having a partner. It's like, no, you're doing like how we were saying they are for their kids. You're there for them is like main thing. All right. Anything else is bonus, So it's like, it's okay.
I did appreciate the breakfast had all the fish heads and whatnot in it. I remember thinking boy, that's kind of the fish heads for breakfast. And then Mom cooked, didn't she? I'm like, oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah, I was like, ooh. I mean, in all fairness, I'm not accustomed to having fish heads in my food. So to me, that does sound a bit obscure. Also for breakfast, that feels a bit heavy. That seems more like a lunch or a dinner thing.
The dish looked like, because we had the previous night, Twilight preparing a fish dish. It looked like she used the carcasses from that to make breakfast.
That's a good point. That too.
It looked like a recycle sort of dish.
Also, I would add, as someone who eats pretty much anything, I just don't want my food to look like what it was. So the idea of seeing the fish head, I'm like, no, that's okay.
You just don't want to look them back at you.
No, that's fine. I'll pass. I thank the food for their nourishment, but I don't need to look it in the face and the eyes.
I don't need eye contact with the food.
No. But it was still amusing, and Anya, in her sweet way of like, oh, Mom cooked, like you said. Yeah, it's like, oh.
And that wasn't what she picked up from their minds, but it was like, I need to say something, and it can't be what I just heard.
Yeah.
Mom cooked. Yeah.
What do you think of her interrogation, her fake interrogation by Twilight? And
I mean, dick move, but I get it. Dick move, but it's it's a very paranoid, not socialized person who needs to know where they stand for his spy mission. And it's just like, you don't, oh my God, no. And then Frankie, who just wanted to be cool for a minute. Just what character is he doing?
Yeah.
Fine.
All right, dude. Okay. Yeah, they're because I guess he can't just ask her outright because she could lie and hold back or something. So it needs to put her in a situation. But yeah, poor girl, she's just like panic attack of like, uh-oh, am I gonna die? Based on how these people work. So
again, just
Twilight.
Yeah, dick move, but also like, I get it. I get that was the only way he could think to kind of force her hand and be like, does she know? If she does, she'll save her own skin with this. And if not, we have oops, it's this actually. Like,
I suppose he saves it a little bit by catching up to walk with her home. And I'm like, okay, that was kind of sweet. But I'm like, need to be nicer.
But him also kind of pointing out, like, boy, her friendship with her work friends.
They're not nice. They are coworkers. They are not friends. Like, And poor Yor probably doesn't really know the difference. So it's like, no,
absolutely
sweetie,
not.
nobody should be talking to you like that.
Yeah. So. Just like her coworkers are all just kind of like, okay.
Like, you can think your coworker's weird. There's no need to be rude to them and whatnot. So it's like, also,
I'm pulling from the very American side of this and going, it's very McCarthy era where you get reported for being different. And I know that's not what they're pulling for. They're very much pulling for like Cold War, Iron Curtain era, like that.
They overlap a few things. I was getting that vibe too.
Yeah, but it's very much the conform or you might be reported. If you're weird, you will be suspected.
Yep.
Like, oh, are you acting weird? Something's wrong. You could be a spy. Oh, you're single? Well, So, yeah.
What was something? I was trying to think of anything else that stood out to me that those were kind of the main major things of.
It was mostly that. We didn't get a lot. We didn't get a lot of school stuff from Anya. This was an adult focused episode.
Yeah.
But
it was nice to see them trying to work things out, communicate better, and then at the end, Anya's like, "Oh, they've made up."
Well, and the getting just the image of Lloyd reading more of Bondman.
Yes, that was so cute.
He's learning, and I appreciate it. And just Anya's sequence where she's not awake and trying to wake up. I'm like, it me in the morning, hit me.
I did love Anya's like, I missed Uncle and he's in the secret police.
What?
She's so excited.
Why didn't you introduce me? Like, oh, honey.
Oh, like
sugar.
No. Like, okay.
And just you're like, you tried so hard to stay up for him, and now you're like, like, no, it's just because her brain's not working in the morning. I feel that.
Yes, it's that like, is no. You need a while to get those gears moving. I feel me too. I'm like, first thing in the morning, I'm like, no, not really up.
One of the things I appreciate about working from home is that if I need a minute or two to wake up, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, then I was going to say, we're speaking of things we like. I'm like, where'd it go? So I'd say, speaking of things we recommend, such as taking your time in the morning. But yeah, that's our thoughts on Spy Family, which let us know your thoughts down below and what you thought of the episode, as well as anything else that we've talked about so far. So stuff you should check out. A fun one I just started watching that if you want some of that nostalgia, if you're in the 80s, 90s crowd, and probably older, it might have been something you checked out. I've been watching the Mighty Ducks Game Changer show on Disney Plus. Speaking of Disney shows, it's super cute. If you want just kind of feel good underdog story, that's what it is. And there is quite a bit of 90s nostalgia if you watch the original films at all. And there's some cameos, which is cool. And then just it's one of those, they make a point, like these are a new group of some new ducks. That was them back in the day, and like starting over, and what do they do with that? And yeah, it's one of those, it's really cute and fun. I like it's a lot of things are very modernized, which I like too. Like they change some of the activities they do that are callbacks to older movies, but make it more modern. And also just like the diversity of the kids and their families and everything. Like one of the boys has 2 moms, and their team has more boys and girls on the same team. And because in the
As
older
opposed to
movies.
just token girl in D2.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, cool. There's actually like variety of kids. Also, there's variety of the like ethnic diversity as well. So that I do like that. So I'd check them out if you want like a fun, feel good, easy show because it is younger because the main kids are like 12 years old. Check out Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
All right.
Yes.
You already got my in-depth recommendation of Mob Psycho 100.
This is true.
Which you should
It's
watch
one you like a
because
lot.
it's amazing. And I'm also going to take a minute to explain this shirt. This is the That's Right, I'm a Gay Robot shirt, for those of you who do not recognize it, from a web series called Red vs. Blue. This is one of those ones where I love it very much, and again, I'm going to take a minute and issue the warnings because I can't recommend anything without a content warning. Red vs. Blue has been going for almost 20 years. Yeah, John Knight, you do need to watch Mob Psycho 100. It's amazing. It should be on Crunchyroll. It's on Crunchyroll. Enjoy. Good stuff. Red vs. Blue is...
I didn't realize it's been around that long. That's cool.
Oh my god, yeah, 18 seasons. I don't know if it's the original machinima, but it was definitely one of the first. It's one of those things where people generally are vaguely familiar with it. They've seen an episode, and it started with 4 guys wanted to use dubbed over Halo versus footage so they could make jokes about what one of the vehicles looked like. And it went nuts from there. So, being 20 years old, this kind of started in the early 2000s and was started by 4 dudes. So it's one of those things where some of the jokes are really like, oh boy, this was definitely done in the early 2000s. Some of the language that was used, some of the flavor of the jokes, like the first 5 seasons, the Blood Gulch Chronicles, people are like, skip it. And I'm like, do not skip it. Just go in understanding that this is very much a product of its time. Red vs. Blue is about 2 armies stuck in a box canyon in the middle of nowhere. That's how it starts. It's jokes about the Halo universe. It's jokes about the army. It's just jokes. And then it grows a plot. There's aliens involved because this is the Halo universe. And then it turns out that something is up with Command. And then if you really want to see where the plot hits, season 6 is where the plot really starts with not the introduction of freelancers. We have that introduced in, I want to say, late season 1. But the introduction of some new characters. Things get more serious. Things grow an actual more delineated plot. It gets complicated. And introduces my favorite character. For anyone who's like, does Katie have a character type? Agent Washington. Agent Washington is that character type. It's a problem. I recognize it. And he's my favorite. So it's one of those shows where it has multiple different starting points. You could start at the very beginning, which is my recommendation, but I understand, given the very off-color humor, it's not for everyone. Season 6 is where a lot of people recommend starting because that's where it starts to get a little more dramatic. That's where the plot where the plot really crystallizes. Season 9 is another. In the early seasons, it's generally about 5 minutes.
Oh, so first through it, yeah. Okay.
They start getting a little longer. They start hitting the 10, 15-minute mark around season 6, and they are very consistently 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes through the rest of the show's runtime. So a season of Red vs. Blue, the earlier ones will run you about hour and a half, and your later ones are hour and a half, 2 hours, and then some of the longer wrapping up an arc seasons are 2.5 hours. Season 13, I'm looking at you. Season 13 is amazing. And Ryan has it. RVB is so good and of its time. And product of its time. It's a journey in fleshing out characters who start flat as paper. You very much have stereotypes. It's Seinfeld for Halo 2 multiplayer. The difference is I don't like Seinfeld. I love Red vs. Blue. And there's definitely a few things that I have pulled from that show that are in my vocabulary. Like, I'm sure I've said it at least once on this show. That doesn't seem physically possible. That is I want to say season 2, Red vs. Blue quote. You ever wonder why we're here? We'll get a Red vs. Blue fan going. It is the literal start of the show. a little back and forth about you ever wonder why we're here, and then misunderstanding what the person you're talking to is actually talking about. Again, it has its ups and downs. It has its flaws. It kind of has trouble with female characters and fleshing them out. This is very much a male-centric, I hesitate to say like male gaze sort of show, but it's a production team that is, for the most part, heavily men. So again, it gets a lot better about that sort of thing as it goes along. It stops being a product of its early 2000 times and starts kind of working on stuff, growing a narrative, giving us different types of characters, etc. So it is not without its issues. I'm not going to sit here and say it's perfect because it's definitely not. But I got into this show off and on the early seasons, and then really started watching it when season 8 was airing. And season 8 continues to be my favorite season, closely followed by 13. I really like those arc ender seasons. Season 1, just after church takes flight. Yeah. This is why I say don't skip the first few seasons, because they set up some character stuff and some long running jokes that just keep coming back.
Okay.
So I think at this point it is all available on YouTube. Like, they cut the seasons together so you can watch them all officially on YouTube as the full extended everything. They take a few different approaches. Some seasons are better than others. 14 is amalgamate is not the word. I am losing the word. It's a compilation season. It tells a whole bunch of different stories from across the different universe. 15 through 17 are contentious. 18 is kind of a Fast and Furious takeoff, which is amazing. So, yeah, if it's the sort of show that you like, if it's the sort of show that you pick up and you stick with it, there is something there for just about everyone. If it's not the type of show you're into, then definitely don't watch 18 seasons of it. But you can mainline season anthology. Thank you. That is the word. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm having a tough time with words tonight. But yeah, love Red versus Blue. All available on YouTube. Thank you, Rooster Teeth, for starting this out. This is Rooster Teeth's flagship show. We would not have Ruby, Camp, Nomad of Nowhere, Genlock without Red versus Blue. This is what started it. So, yeah, you can watch season 1 in about hour and 10 minutes. Have fun. Have a good time. Let me know what you think.
Rob says it all happens to us all. Great one.
Yep.
Brian says season 13 legitimately made me sob uncontrollably.
Fair. Season 13 had one of the greatest setups and payoffs that I have seen in terms of getting into a specific character's mindset and how they tick and just cracking it open. I enjoy Locust as a character a lot. And that's all I'm going to say, because he doesn't show up until later in the series. And that is a spoiler that should not be spoiled, because, man, the chorus arc is amazing. But again, that's seasons 11 through 13. So you kind of want to see some stuff before that so you can watch that build. It's a blast. I love it.
I mean, I suppose if you're rushed for time, but I don't think I've ever been one to be like, I'm going to jump midway. I'm like, I didn't watch shows as a kid if they were a few episodes into a season. I'm like, no, I have to start from the beginning. So I'm still like, I don't think I could do that. That'd be like, know where it started.
Again, it's very much a product of its time. And there was some stuff that we thought was okay in the early 2000s that it turns out is not okay. So it's baked into early 2000s media. So again, go into it understanding that there is some product of its time, not okay humor that gets baked out of the series as it goes on, because we all learn that it's not okay.
What's that thing of, it's not necessarily wrong, you didn't know, it's if you don't do anything about it, kids.
Yeah.
Other quick little one, just because I did watch this, so I'm like, oh yeah, true, but not these. John said, check out the Attack on Titan OVAs, English dub. I just finished what's available for season 4 sub. And I did really enjoy it. This show just keeps getting weirder and weirder in a way, in terms of what it starts and where it is now is like,
what? Well, when it
Such a
starts,
different,
we were sold
like,
on
what it
a
is.
man versus monster, humanity versus
Ooh,
essentially
ooh.
kaiju show, and
And then
now
it's
we
like,
have war crimes.
yeah.
So it's there's a reason that I
Uh,
need to get back onto season 4, but there was just I was unable to handle that shift at the
yeah, I
time
was gonna
with
say it's a
everything that was
very
happening.
different
Very
kind of
different.
content warning because I'm like, yeah, monsters, it's violent, people die weird ways because it's monsters, and now
People
it's
get
like,
eaten by giant monsters and it's messed up,
no,
and now it's like again, war
people do
crimes.
shitty stuff. Yeah.
War
Anyway,
crimes. Yikes.
back
Not
to
a bad show. Content
yeah,
warning,
no,
Donut. Yeah. Donut
um,
is the one who starts as the gay stereotype, and not everyone knows how to handle him. Not actually where this quote comes from, believe it or not. But it's one of those things where not everyone knows how to handle him in terms of writing. Not everyone handles him well. It does get better, and he actually gets some of the best development in some of the seasons I like the least.
and
But
then
it's all
fair.
an over-under.
Yeah. Rab says, those of us a certain age have all done some growing since then, which we would hope.
Yes.
And it's always good to, if you learn something new, then that's good to change and grow. Yay!
Some of us were in middle school in the early 2000s, so I would
Which
hope
has
that
very
things have
different
changed since
humor.
then.
Yeah.
Very.
I was gonna say, I'm like, well, then speaking of back to my recommendation, Mighty Ducks, it's very wholesome. It's very family friendly. And I would add that I am clearly not middle school, but I'm enjoying it. But those in middle school, it's age appropriate for them too, depending on how old you are and who you're sharing it with.
Red versus Blue is not family friendly. They say fuck a lot, and you should not show it to children. You shouldn't.
Because as we've learned from a little Anya, they pick up on things and they repeat things. Anyways, yay!
Just don't show it to kids. It's not kid friendly. It's don't do that. You want to show your kids something Rooster Teeth animated? Show them Ruby Chibi.
Yeah,
Ruby's also very good, but oh, there's some tragic shit in Ruby. Very good. Hurts my heart a lot. Show them Ruby Chibi, where it's all fun all the time.
Giga Derek just said, I just realized this episode is episode 30. I feel slightly older now. Yay! Yes. Well, thank you for being here, everybody, for episode 30 of Nighttime at the Nerd Bar. So exciting. Yay! We thank all of you for tuning in, watching, joining in the live chat. And if you don't feel like joining in live chat, that's
okay.
totally okay. And then, comment down below or, just reach out to us online with...
Thanks again to Mark for joining us.
Yes. And
that was wonderful.
Well. Yay! So go follow him because we had that at the beginning of the show. And if you're watching this late or watching this now, wait for it to be uploaded, then you can rewind to the beginning. Yes. But thank you, everybody. It's really cool that, we're not just talking into the empty void, which, I mean, I think we would still talk about the things we like watching. But,
the void is yelling back.
Yes, there's a TikTok on that. They're like, the void is yelling back and it's still listening. And I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yay.
The void hears you and it appreciates your input.
Yes. Thank you, Giga Derek. This is my favorite weekly show. Aw, thank you so much.
I'm going to cry.
We appreciate all of you so much. And continue the conversation with us online in case I find you.
You can follow me all over the social medias as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. Per usual, most of the stuff is on Twitter right now. I'm still working on other things. Life is insane, so it's mostly just Twitter. And there has been some very, very great art from people I follow. So that's a lot of what I've been retweeting. Other things I've been retweeting, and we're going to get a little real life here. A lot of cities and a lot of states have local elections coming up or are doing local elections right now. If you're in Los Angeles, tomorrow is the vote, June 7th. So make sure you participate in your local elections. Change starts at a local level. Do your research, turn in your ballot, or make sure that you are able to vote. Your vote is important. It does count and it does matter, especially locally. So I know do your civic duty sounds cheesy as hell, but also like the people who believe it's like, if you want something, vote for the person who's gonna do the thing you want.
Yep. I was like, I want to say it's Yellow Pain is the artist.
I don't know.
I'm like, it's just coming to mind because I want to say the name right. Yellow Pain.
The artist that does what?
He has a song, and it's about voting. And
I have not
go
heard it.
look up. I'm like, let me just double. So it's yellow with just an O at the end, no W. And it's written as one word of yellow pain. And just because this is
P-A-N-E
important,
or P-A-I-N?
P-A-I-N.
Ah.
And yes, my vote don't count. And it's all about how your vote does count. And he does go into how it's so important to vote. And I really appreciate the video because sometimes to hear something in song or to put in a different perspective does make it easier to share with other people how it's important. Essentially, like if you don't show up, those in power are happy you didn't. So it's like show up and do your vote. It's easy. Just do it. I agree. Yes.
It's pride. Identify as a problem and make sure that they are going to implement the solutions that you want.
I like it. Yes.
I identify as a problem.
I feel that's accurate. I'm like, yes, I identify as a problem.
Also,
I'm gonna do something.
happy Pride. You are valid. You are seen, you are loved, and you are valid. I'm sitting here with it's hard to see because it's small, and I have my little ace dice pin here, so.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody's welcome here. Everybody's valid. And yes, oh, there we go. Whoop, this side. Yep. You can find me everywhere at Carrie D Lane. That's Karidlane. I just posted a fun one on Instagram of my dog, which there's a lot of fun dog stuff on Instagram and my Twitter and so it's on TikTok. They're all the same name, so it makes it easy. So if you like fun, dance, movie, anime, which obviously I should hope so if you're here, as well as Ewok looking dog content, go to those channels.
Cute Pepper.
Oh, I'll take you.
Very cute.
And her name is Fizzgig, which if you're a nerd, I should hope you know that as well of what that reference is. And it's okay if you don't, because then it's fun to explain to people.
Yeah.
Yes. Alrighty. Well, thank you again once more. Happy 30th to us and the show.
How?
And we
did it. What?
42, because that's the answer, life, the universe, and everything.
That's true. That's true.
That's our next milestone. But for now, have a great week, everybody. Be safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.